Hi, I'm here today to talk about skiing, specifically about learning to ski if you've never skied before and you're thinking about getting started, or maybe you've had a lesson or two, or maybe you've been up a couple of times, or maybe you've been skiing a while and you're just trying to get a little bit better. I want to talk about how to make skiing easy, and it really can be very easy. But I think what the problem is that most people don't really understand the mechanics. And I want to talk about that today. So my name is Joel Tolley. I've been skiing for 50 years, actually over 50 years. I've been an avid skier for over 50 years. And in that time, I can't tell you how much change I've seen in the sport, changes in equipment, changes in technique, changes in the way they teach skiing, changes just, it's like an evolution is really what it's been. I've learned an awful lot in that time. I worked in the ski industry for a long, long time. I also worked as a ski instructor for a long time. And I can't tell you how many people I've taught how to ski over the years. But I see the same thing over and over again, which is kind of funny, I think, because with all the changes, there's one thing that really hasn't changed, and that is people don't really understand the mechanics of the sport when they begin skiing, and sometimes never do. So you have to understand what to do, how to do it, and why to do it. And these things are maybe learned, maybe not by people. So let's say, for example, that we're not going to talk about skiing today. We're going to talk about learning to do something else. And I use the learning to fly a helicopter as an example. So let's say that you've never flown a helicopter before. You've never even looked inside the cockpit of a helicopter before, but you're going to learn to fly one today. And the instructor says, okay, you get in that helicopter, I'll get in this one, follow me. Just do what I do. Now, there's levers, there's foot pedals, there's a joystick, there's all kinds of instruments. And how do you feel about learning to fly a helicopter that way? Now, learning to ski isn't quite as treacherous as learning to fly a helicopter, but it's no less confusing for people because everything is new. Suddenly your feet are this long, you get these big Frankenstein boots on, they give you these ski pole things that like, what the heck do I do with these? And it's all foreign, it's all new. So here's what I want you to understand first of all, is that a ski, I've got a ski right over here. A ski is actually not a butter knife. People think a ski is a butter knife and they're just going to smear it around on the snow and jam on the edges when they need to stop. And actually, this is a highly technical piece of equipment that is designed and engineered to do one thing well, and that's, guess what? Make a turn. And actually, it makes it very easy to make a turn if you understand the levers, the joystick, the foot pedals. I'm going back to the helicopter analogy. But let's talk about this a little bit. So this is a ski. And you'll notice that it's widest up here. It's narrower here, narrowest actually there. And then it gets wider again back here. And then most skis also have a little bit of a leaf spring shape, which is called camber. Varying degrees, but not really too important at this point. But what happens is this. I'm going to put this back a sec. That shape, here's my teaching ski. That shape is part of the engineering in the ski. So again, here's your shovel, your widest point of the ski, the waist, the narrowest point of the ski, the hip, the widest point here, and the tail, and the camber, a little bit of leaf spring shape. And so a ski has a sweet spot. And we're going to say that that sweet spot is right here. Now we're going to talk more about the sweet spot in a minute. But the way a ski works is you put pressure on the sweet spot. Here's my mountain right here, right? And so what you do is you put pressure on the sweet spot. You tip the ski on edge, which then makes an arc in the snow, and then you ride that ski and it will turn. So really all you have to do on a ski to make it turn is A, tip it on edge, and B, stand in the right spot. Now that sounds really stupidly simple, and actually it really is stupidly simple. But most people don't understand that the ski will do 90% of the work for you, maybe more than that, if you just stand on the ski in the right spot. Now, the sweet spot, where is the sweet spot? Think about the bottom of your foot. And the sole of your foot, if you close your eyes, stand up, close your eyes, and rock slightly forward, you can feel pressure move on the bottom of your foot. So if you rock forward, you can rock all the way up to the ball of your foot. That's that metatarsal, that big knuckle right behind your big toe. You can rock up onto your toes. If you keep going, you'll fall forward on your face. Rock back, you can feel it go onto the arch of your foot, and keep going, it'll go on the heels. And if you keep going, you're going to sit down. Now, the sweet spot's right underneath your first metatarsal, right there. That's where it is. And so what you do is you put pressure on that metatarsal, put that ski on edge, and away you go. Now, here's what you hear on the slopes. Nobody, first of all, talks about standing on your metatarsals. You hear, benzy knees, benzy knees. Okay, well, if you don't know why you're doing that or what you're trying to accomplish, it's like, okay. Or lean forward, right? How do you do that? Or press your shins into your boots. Well, these are all good advice, but they're meaningless. They're totally meaningless. It's like if you're a new skier on the slopes and somebody's yelling at you to bend your knees, they're not telling you anything because you don't understand what you're trying to accomplish. Now let's go back to the ski again. So a ski, if you stand on the metatarsal, stand on the sweet spot of the skis. By the way, think about the sweet spot of the ski. If you talk about a tennis racket, tennis rackets have a sweet spot. They talk about it all the time. And you want a big sweet spot on a tennis racket because there's a bigger place that you can hit the ball and still have control of where the ball goes. Well, skis have a sweet spot. It's controlling the ski. And that sweet spot might be quite a bit smaller than you would hope it to be, but it's there. And if you stand on that sweet spot, put the ski on edge, and then come slightly forward, the ski will tighten the turn. If you rock back onto your heels or onto the arch, it'll lengthen the turn. If you go back on the heels far enough, it'll just go straight. And if you go back far enough on the heels, you'll be on your butt, like you'd be sitting down, right? And so finding and holding that sweet spot is your job. Now there's other things that make a ski work too, because it's not about just one kind of turn. You can skid your turn a little bit, you can smear it, you can make a pure carve, which is where you're just riding the ski. Think about a car. So if you're driving a car on dry pavement and you turn, there's no skidding, it just turns, right? That's a carved turn. Now, if you do the same thing in the snow, you could have kind of a drift where the whole car is drifting a little bit sideways, even though you're still turning. Or you could oversteer, meaning the back of the car comes around and maybe spins. And that would be if you're way too far forward on your sweet spot or too far forward of the sweet spot. Or you might understeer, which now the car just, you're turning, but it slides straight into a tree. And that's because you're back here on the heel and the car has no, or the ski has no way to pull into the turn. So we're going to talk more about that later, but we're going to talk about standing on the sweet spot. So I'm going to try and clear up the big mystery here. It's not about bending knees. It's not about lean forward. It's not about all those things your instructor or your buddies are yelling at you. It's about this. Let's think about a sport you played in the past or maybe still play. Or it doesn't even have to be a sport you've actually played. Maybe you've watched it on television. Maybe you've watched it, gone to a game and watched it. Let's say that we're going to talk about tennis. So if you've played tennis or you've seen a tennis match, envision yourself standing at the end of the court with a racket, right? and your opponent is about to serve the ball to you. Think about how you'd be standing. Think about your stance. So would you be just standing there with one hand on your hip and the racket ready like this? I don't think so. No, you would be where? Right on the balls of your feet. Feet spread apart a little bit, right? You're bending the knees, right? But not because somebody told you to bend the knees, because it's a natural way to be ready. You're gonna bend in the knees, the hips. You're gonna be slightly forward on your stance, on your feet, and you're ready for anything. You're ready to move this way, you're ready to move that way, you're ready to move forward, backward, you're ready, okay? That is the same exact stance you want as a skier. Now, if you're a second baseman on a baseball team and the pitcher's about to throw the ball, what's your stance? It's exactly the same. You're exactly in the same spot, and that's exactly what you want to be on a pair of skis. Now, your job is the hard job. Your job is to stand on that spot, because the mountain's job is to throw you off that spot. And I promise you, the mountain's expert at that. It's got all kinds of tricks and things up its sleeve. It's just going to be always looking for a way, and the mountain usually wins. It's always going to be looking for a way to throw you off your spot. So you've got to be extra ready all the time. So what you're going to do is you are going to get into your stance, because you're going to start a turn. Now, think about this. I believe, and I use this as a direct straight line analogy, I think if you can walk, you can ski. You don't have to be athletic, you don't have to be young, you don't have to have any special skills, but I think if you can walk, you have everything you need to be able to ski. And it's because of this. You take that athletic position, right? And then what you're going to do is you're going to find the spot on your foot. That's your goal, is to think about that, where your weight is on your feet. And to make a turn, you're going to make a 100% weight transfer from one foot to the other. Like in walking, I just made a 100% weight transfer. I transferred all my weight from this foot to that foot, just like that. I've been doing it all my life, well, almost every day, and you can do it too. Now, you don't make a 100% weight transfer like this, do you? No. And you don't do it like this. What you do is you walk. You take all the weight off of one foot and you put all the weight on the other foot. So we're going to make a left-hand turn. Here's the ski. It's on your right foot. You're going to put it on edge. You're going to find the sweet spot. You're going to pressure the sweet spot, and you're going to put all your weight on that ski. And I'm not saying pick this one up. I'm saying put all the weight on that ski. And when you're done with that turn, you're going to step all your weight onto this edge on this ski right there. And you're going to fight like mad to maintain the spot on that ski, to let the ski do the work. So that's a start. That's my first kind of introduction. And from there, there's obviously, it's like golf. There's a million variations, but that will get you started. If you understand this and how this works, and if you understand your body position and why you want this body position and what your goal is, then you're going to have a shot at overcoming everything the mountain throws at you. Thanks again.